Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. It's Friday night talk of Taipei Artist Village. From now on to 8:30 p.m. tonight, welcome to stay tuned with us. I am Soma Liang, today's moderator. First of all, thanks to the Taipei Artist Village who has organized this event. And actually, we are now broadcasting here inside the Treasure Hill with the colleagues of the Taipei Artist Village who have made this talk in live stream form. And thanks to them. And no worries, we have only 5 people here inside the Zen room, so it's not against the regulations. And it's a great pleasure to have our 2 residential artists as our speakers today. One is Sophie Schmidt from Germany and Peter Danda from Czech. In today's talk, we will get to know more about their remarkable on-view or ongoing project during their residency here from the end of April to the end of June. And for all the audiences who are in tune with us now, welcome to share our live stream link with your friends who are also interested in this. And besides, please feel free to leave your comment and to come up with questions for Sophie and Peter. Staffs of the Artist Village will collect your questions, and the questions will be responded in Q&A time at the end of the last session of the talk. And now, I would like to briefly introduce our first speaker, Sophie Schmidt here. Sophie is currently based in Munich, Germany. In her artistic practices, body is the essential issue, and Sophie's works combines a variety of media, including painting, performance, language, and sculpture. Through her site-specific installation and performances, potential and limitation of the body are being explored, and her creation further investigating the relationship between the entity of body and the outer world in a very sensual style. And we can soon see her works be presented in the following talk session. In addition, Sophie is participating in the exchange program between Taipei and Munich, which is jointly supported by Taipei Artist Village and the Department of Art and Culture, City of Munich, and Apartment of Art, Munich, and Goethe Institute, Taipei. In the following talk, Sophie will share her residential project with us as the first half part of the talk. Her residential works, including paintings, collages, and installations, that are also being shown at Treasure Hill now, but it's pity that so far we can only appreciate her work online. And then around 7:50, and then around 8 p.m., we will have Peter to share his project, combining sound, performance, and architecture as the second part. Before Sophie's sharing begins, she would like to present us a video of her performance here with us first.
Show me your fingers, these radicchio claws with knives and fork on them. I come to visit you, Heilige Ursula, to visit you in your Taipei bed. I come from Venice. I wear a Beichtstuhlkleid. Ich öffne meinen Bauchvorhang für dich. Do you remember me? How much Venice water is in your legs still? And how much Taipei water is in the fields now? But you don't need legs anymore. You don't need them. You can say, actually, you can say, fini. But what you should think of is your mouth and all these tongues inside. Snail tongues, snake's tongues, teeth tongues, how they roll through the body and die Welt mit der Zunge abfangen. To grab the world by the tongue, to have many tongues in one mouth, to love to have so many tongues in one mouth, different tongues, all these tongues. And don't forget your mother tongue. You need many tongues, so you need many mothers. And all of these tongues can roll through you, can being, get a tongue being, get a being, many of it, get a horizon being, get like a snail rolling through it in a flake, and then all of them. But now you need your Radicchio-Klaue. Zieh dir die Radicchio-Klaue an mit ihren Messern und Gabeln dran. Ursula, come out from Venice, come to Taipei.
So now we will have Sophie to share her her creation with us now. Sophie?
Hello, I'm Sophie. Yeah, thank you for coming, even though we had problems in the beginning. You just saw the performance I did 2 days ago here in Treasure Hill of the Radiculady. The title is Show Me Your Fingers, these radiculae with knives and forks on them. So here I have a sketch actually from my sketchbook where I prepared the performance. In the beginning, before the Radiculady came out of her claw, which she was carrying and also really suffering from that, you saw a beetle I met here in Treasure Hill. It's a beetle. I heard by Peter that his communication is to just throw himself against the wall. It makes a loud sound, and that's his language. So it's also a way of self-destruction, being in contact, expressing himself. So the metal box was me coming through the door. Behind there is the forest, the jungle as I feel it. For me it's a jungle really, of Treasure Hill. Just boxing through it, in it. And by becoming this beetle, and you have to know, living here in Treasure Hill means always living with insects, with beetles. And as I'm anyway in my art very interested in animals and insects, now of course beetles we are getting friends with them. So I'm impressed by the how huge they are, how loud they are, how intense they are. We are just sharing the room right now with a mantis. So it is an intention being here. And then in the performance, we met the Radiculady, and the question is, Radicu is something you don't know here. So where does she come from? She actually comes from Venice. As the title of the exhibition shows, how much Venice water do you carry in your legs still, and how much Taipei water do you feel in the fields now? So the title says that the exhibition does not involve the Taipei water of the fields and its stories I met in the city, but also the water of Venice. And we are actually, other side? Yeah, great. Yeah, also, we are actually here, in front of the papaya lady. She is a very important figure next to the Radiculady. She is a woman from Taipei, a Taiwan lady, and she means for me happiness. I met in the very first day a lady cutting with a long knife the papaya, this beautiful fruit. And I met these trees with the wonderful legs. You can see here her leg with the papaya fruits on it. And then I met one girl. She was just weeping at me and saying, "Welcome to Taiwan." And she's also the papaya lady. So this happiness expresses this papaya lady, a way of being friendly, what I really experience here with the people, a big kind of friendliness, warmness, and also very peaceful. So, So we see actually what's also very impressive for me coming from Europe, the humid. It's really humid here. And even so, I didn't actually, it wasn't my intention, but I think you can see it in the painting of the wall, that it's really wet all the time. It's a very physical experience, having always water, not only in the feet, not only in my legs, where I kept Venice water with me, why you will know soon, but also like really a very bodily experience is being surrounded and having this water with. So, In the same room of the Papaya Lady, here in the exhibition at Treasure Hill, you see also collages in golden frames, which I made in my Quarantine hotel, and they put together actually the two worlds I was working here, my project was. So you see on this side, for example, or I make the next photo, you see it better? Yeah, genau. Also, here on this side, you see a typical Venice expression, the Palazzo Barbarigo della Terrazza, where I had a residency just before coming here. I lived there for 3 months, and I came more or less directly from Venice to Taipei within a lot of Venice water in my legs. And the lady you see here, it's a radicchio lady. You can see it. She has her claw, and she puts it into the room, in the hotel room where I was in my quarantine, the Aloft Hotel. I stood there, and I didn't leave, as you all know here. You can't leave the room, you stay there, and the only thing you get, like 3 times a day, someone knocks at your door and you take just food, and you get phone calls by the government letting you know your temperature. So the woman who is sleeping in this hotel bed is actually a woman I took from Venice. It's Saint Ursula. So I just tell you the title of this collage because it's saying, wie viel Venedig-Wasser ist noch in deinen Beinen, Ursula? So how much Venice water is still in your legs, Ursula? Ursula, it's her. And then she says, Ursula, holy Ursula, it's me. Are you ready? I am the radicchio lady. I come from the palazzo to you. I'm visiting you in your Taipei bed. Look, my confessional chair dress. Schau nach meinem Beichtstuhlkleid. There is laying a douche inside. But how much Venice water do you have in your legs still? I come from Venice in your hotel room. And I'm tender with my radicchio claw. I'm tender to you. So, actually, Ursula, Saint Ursula, is painted from a Renaissance painter of Venice, Carpaccio, and it's the proclamation of Holy Ursula. She is dreaming, sleeping in this beautiful bed, and there's an angel coming in her dream with a mission for her. And when I was in Venice, I was very impressed by this Zyklus of Heilige Ursula. There are some more paintings. And for me, there was an analogy of being in my bed, as if I was in a dream of my quarantine. And the radicchio lady became the angel with a proclamation, and my vision, what will happen when finally I will leave this bed and go out in the world behind my hotel window. Yeah, this is actually the step. It was the collage 2 days before I left. And this is again the radicchio lady. You see her arms, radicchio, this salad. I will talk more about it later. And you see it is surrounded by a frame. It's actually the paper wall of a room in Venice. And you see the room of Heilige Ursula just got inside down. It got up on the hotel room. So the inside gets out, gets real. I go out. I'm on my way out of the hotel. And where does it come from? Where does the radicchio lady come from? And where does the whole stories come from in Heilige Ursula? So we are now in the salotto, in the dining room of the palazzo I lived. And you see here the Venice bird machine. It's made out of a newspaper holder, of forks and knives, of a light. And all these plants there, these are radicchios. That's the salad, actually. And you see me, how I use this machine, this Venedig Vogelmaschine, in order to get the radiculady. So in general, this, or what you see here, is a prosthesis. It's a body widening. As you already mentioned in your speech, I'm working a lot with my body and with the questions around the body. Because I think bodies are not just natural, they are constructed. They are always socially constructed. And my artistic practice wants to tell a new story about a body. I want to tell a female story. So our world is still very much constructed by men for men. It's about being strong, having strong material, but I use for my prosthesis and body widenings, I use very soft material. Actually, you were just saying, but the radicchio is maybe a very female symbol, something very female. Yeah, it is something very soft, very delicate, very fragile. And also my performance you just saw, I used sticks, I used things, eggs even, they can break. So I want to show the power of softness, of telling a story of a body which opens for other bodies, which shows also its vulnerability. I think it's a pleasure that our bodies, that we can be wounded, and there's a potential. And I want to integrate other bodies and other forms of beings. For example, birds, the radiculady, but also just other bodies. So I want to create hybrid bodies, and I like to use the female cyborg, told by Donna Haraway, the feminist writer. She writes about this hybrid bodies. So this is what I want to create. And I create, as you saw, these hybrid bodies with machines, and also I tell it about in painting, writing, text. So I use all these media to put it together. The performance is very essential. Actually, here you see an example. It's quite some years ago already. It's a moving machine. I did it when I was studying still. And again, you see, yeah, it's very delicate. And even when I move, it breaks. So my bodies, they are not very robust. My prostheses are not made for be stronger, but also to say, okay, it's allowed to fall, to get tender, to become a mosquito even so. So this prothese I just made 1 year ago. You see the Ohren-Kontakt prothese, so the contact prothese of the ears. My prothese want to connect things. In this case, my ears, because always the head is in between, so you have to do something. And you get antennas for becoming a beetle. It fits, I think, in the Treasure Hill. But going back to, actually, also the invitation card was made by her, going back to the radiculady. And you see it here on this collage as well. Here you see Venice coming out. There you see the hotel, and you see her arms and the dramaticity of this radicchio claws. And I wished I could bring you radicchio, that you could share it, because I'm so fascinated by the vegetables, by the fruits here. Yeah, just another example of a radiculady, of becoming tender, of becoming even a plant. She's opening her belly, and radicchio is glowing. It's a glory, the glory of radicchio. So now the film is coming. The film? Okay. Okay. So I think now you know who she is, the Radicchio lady. And I go to the last steps. You see here a self-portrait I made in Venice. It's a self-portrait me, also maybe becoming a hybrid body, because I'm actually wearing a protective mantle. A lot of Venice figures, the Madonna, have this protective mantle. It's a typical symbol of Venice. But in my mantle, I protect not humans, not man, but animals, the Venice bird. And I'm pregnant with birds. And here you see mussels in my hair. You see me, hybrid being, plant, animal, and eggs. And what I carry all in this mantle. Because being in Venice means always getting pregnant of Venice, of its beauty, but also of all these stories in the belly. So we go, being pregnant actually, we go through the Venice bird portal, and we go through this portal back to here, to Taipei, to the exhibition. And actually we go to the very beginning, to my hotel room in Taipei where I stood. And you see here the very beautiful, it's the other side actually of the wall. On the other side you have the papaya lady. She sits in the fields, you can see here in the window. So you see my situation, how it was every day, day by day. You see my legs full of Venice water. You see the telephone, I already told you. It was very important for these phone calls I had to answer. And you see my food. And you see also here, even a little bit like in Venice, there were all these water streets in the fields. And this beauty by the fields, even so, I couldn't open the window. It wasn't allowed. And I was really wished to smell the air. But I had the feeling I am getting part of being a field. It was so strong, living with this field, and it was so calm and so beautiful. And in this hotel, I started making these collages. The telephone. These collages. So on this collage, you see actually the bed. Oh, naja, gut. I can, yeah, also you see the bed of the hotel room, and you see again a hybrid body. And what she's getting is actually, yeah, no, excuse me. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, and down, yeah, more, this way, or? Yeah, okay. Yeah, also jetzt I'm afraid. Yeah, you see the house of you see a hermit crab with no house. This also outlines the vulnerability of a body who has no house, actually. This is a sculpture of me, and in my collages, I take elements from sculptures, performances, and put them together with different photos. Strange, in the wrong direction. Oh no. Yeah, I did, but it goes always the wrong direction. Okay, now I know it. I'm very sorry for this. So, one of the last collages, but it was one of the very beginning ones. You see here again the Radicchio lady coming through the wall into the hotel of Taipei. Here you have the view, and here you see that the head actually of a holy gets the heart of the Radicchio. So it's very delicate. And the text I always write in my collage tells about this window. At day, I'm in a Feldwerdung, and in the night, it was like a mirror, seeing all the lights of Taipei and seeing my bed coming together. So I had the lights of Taipei and the whole city in my bed. It was actually all what I needed in this period. Yeah, and you see the combination of the palazzo and the hotel. Here, the last collage. The text is saying, Waffen? Warum so viele Waffen? Mädchen, das brauchst du nicht. Weapons? Why so many weapons, girl? That you don't need. In a loft hotel, you are secure. Show me your fingers, these radicule claws with knives and forks in them. Look, I have opened the curtains of my belly for you. Can you see the lights in that gallery? Golden, with all these Faltenwürfen. It's shining out of the Beichtstuhlkleid. I'm coming out from Italy. Are you ready? Actually, the title of the performance came out of this collage. So we go through the window on the other side, meet the beautiful papaya lady. And what is in the last room is more or less my diary of these weeks having been here, when I took these small, wonderful golden paper cards, more or less, I found, and I have written my impressions and the story of what I met, what I was concerned of while being here on it. Very important is this little card I got where there's written on it, I'm vegetarian, because, yeah, the language thing. I talk about the mother tongue. It's not so useful here, so I was showing this. And these cards were just the very last ones when I arrived here in Treasure Hill. You see the situation of being in the gallery, painting. You see the beetles, and you see the dragon fruit, which was very important because you just had Dragon Festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you for Sophie for your presentation. I was totally mesmerized by this wonderful Hadikyo lady story. And just for a supplement, Hadikyo is a kind of vegetable that is very common in vintage dishes, but maybe it will be a little bit strange for people in Taiwan. But Hadikyo is a very healthy kind of vegetable, and its roots can also be like a alternative drink for coffee.
Yeah, you just told me. I think this is wonderful to know. I don't know if people from Venice know it.
Yeah. Okay. So your story, from your story, I first know Hadikyo, this kind of vegetable. Yeah. So I Google it, and hopefully I can soon get to eat it someday because it looks so delicious in your video.
And I really like that you told me it's so feminine.
Yeah.
This was an important point. I think I wanted to make it strong now in my artist talk because this is something important, I think.
Yeah. Okay, great. So Sophie, I have a question for you. And that is because residency could be a very immersive experience for you, even though you are locked in a hotel room. And for residential artists, it's not only just complete a new series of works, but also living a life at a specific place. And it's also your first time visiting Asia. And though most of the time you are restricted in the indoor, but still, can you share what's the body experience in Taipei or in Treasure Hill, and how do you think this new experience will change your perspective in creation?
Okay, yeah, I think first of all, for me being in a surrounding I don't know, it's something where your skin really opens, like really bodily, because you are so open when you travel, and even when you travel to a place you don't know, where you have no routine. So I think this is the transformation. You really get part of what surrounds you, even more than when you are in a place you know very well. You know how to be secure there, you know how to handle it. So I really had to say, it was a very intense experience not knowing how to handle this new place, having no idea about the culture, about the situation. So I had the feeling of an extreme intensity, but the intensity was actually also because compared to Europe or to Germany, also the city, I experienced the city some days without lockdown. And then when I come out of the hotel, I mean, even it's more a contrast being really in one room on my own so long, and then going out, and here the streets are so full, the motorbikes, the people, the hair of the trees have hair. In Germany they don't have any hair. They are just so beautiful with the long hair and all these plants, and I think this division or this order maybe we have between nature and culture and city, I didn't find it here. So I met in the city extreme birds and plants and banana trees and all these butterflies at the same time as I met people. So this is a very, very intense experience. And then I told you about the humid experience of my body. But I also have the feeling that in the same time, it is a very calm and a very peaceful, a really very friendly culture. So being the human being or interaction seems much more in a very really friendly, really helpful, very tender. When I go out in a park, see people jogging, they are tender to each other in a way, I don't know it, less aggression maybe, more this is what I experienced already in the fields when I looked out of the window and saw this calmness of the fields, some farmers working in it. And even so, the city is full and crowded and busy and very, very loud. I, in the same time, experience it as a very peaceful, really an atmosphere. It's a lot about atmosphere. And I thought I would be stressed. I was overwhelmed, but also maybe it's the meditation. You thought, I have to say, that I have a master in meditation. Actually, my master is in education and not in meditation. But I think this shows maybe your cultural background, that you come from meditation. I think I'm far away from it, actually, but I would like to learn it. So I want to take over in my body, in my legs, the meditation and your friendliness. Yeah. Thank you to you and Pin and everyone, Mabel, everyone really helping, Peter, helping to create and make it possible, the show, even so we have so many restrictions at the moment.
So thank you, Sophie, and we will have a short break. Yeah, and then the next half session, we will have Peter to share with us. we go. Okay. Thank you for coming back. Here comes the second half part of today's talk. Let me briefly introduce Peter here. Peter Danda, currently based in Prague, Czech, and Taipei, Taiwan. And Peter had been trained as a professional architect. And now he's a slashy, or we could say a polymath, who has been dedicating in the fields of architecture, visual arts, sound art, and public space interventions. And of course, the interdisciplinary fields of the above. Peter even started a platform that talks about Taiwanese culture in Czech through stories, literature, and tea. And later, after having Peter introducing us his former architecture projects and ongoing residential project, he will also present a short performance. So let's looking forward to it. Okay, Peter, please.
Thanks for having me here. I'm Peter. And as you said, I used to work as an architect. Oh, so it's not automatic. Hey, can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me again here. I'm Peter, and as you said, I used to work actually as an architect the last few years. Might need this one. And yeah, just after school, I started working for some companies, and then I thought I tried to do my own things. And the first project was actually a family house extension, where I tried. It's in the north of the Czech Republic, which is like a lot of small towns. Probably would call it fairy tale landscape, as I've heard from other Taiwanese. And there's a lot of 19th century clinker brick buildings, which is buildings that have like exposed brick facades. And I found it sad that like most in the Czech Republic, it's a thing that most buildings, they are being insulated with styrofoam, like this white foam, and then just to save money on the heating and stuff. And I found it sad, and because they take those old houses, they remove the details, add the old traditional details, add the styrofoam, and then all the houses look the same. So they try to distinguish themselves with like really like red or like saturated colors. So then the villages look like like Easter egg salads or something. So I try to and also other architects in the Czech Republic, we try to use those traditional materials, which is those like clinker bricks, and just like put them in a little bit like be a bit playful with the patterns. So I try to make those, let them stick out a bit, or behind the window create those things, which are, as I found out, really common in Taiwan and other parts of Asia for the airflow. Yeah, and that brought me, this is another thing, it was like just a family house I did for a couple, also in the mountains. But I started to be interested in the materials. So the landscape actually looks like this, just like a small village in the countryside with a lot of woods. But there's also a lot of like rocks and mountains. So the family house was quite high, so I was looking out of the landscape. So I tried to design the lower floor with a stone facade, and the upper floor with a wooden facade. Here's the snow, you can't see it much. But just in order to be in harmony with the landscape. And then later I discovered just a sketch from like Publix, or like a little thing I did with a friend in a medieval town called Jihlava. And later I discovered I'm more interested in the space between the buildings instead of the buildings themselves and the public space, and because that's where life is kind of going on. Well, obviously not in the pandemic, but usually, And And I studied before. I spent some months in Taiwan, like 5-6 years ago, and we did a project with in a small town, just a school project for some like park theater. Yeah, and later I was there a few years later. I discovered it was actually being built, which I didn't know, and yeah, that kind of got me really interested in the public space interventions, as you may call it. And also, yeah, and then I was asked by a friend, he has a Taiwanese restaurant in the Czech Republic, if I can design his restaurant garden and make it look like Taiwan, which I said, well, we're in Prague, so I'm not sure if that's a good idea. And it was also like, because, you know, Corona hit, so they had like a really like low budget. So I started to think, how can we recreate this space, or like imitate a Taiwanese like small town landscape. So we used, of course, like a kind of jungle, as Sophie already said before. We are quite always impressed by Taiwanese forests and the nature, the dramatic landscape. So I just tried to use some you know, recreate this jungle, those concrete things. All those like, I will say a bit messy chairs that you see in those little like small town restaurants, canteens mixed together. And, oh, it's the old presentation. Never mind, I will just skip this part. But maybe I can just describe for another office, a Taiwanese office, they wanted a kind of a shelf. And also, again, they wanted to represent themselves. So I used a photo I took in a national park in Taroko, and we applied it to the wooden boards of the shelf, this is like in the factory, and try to simplify the lines a bit, and hopefully the picture like gets communicated. And like to come to the residency project, I also I tried to make some music, some sounds, and even when I make some music, I'm always interested by the architecture itself. So we managed to like organize with another like artist from Prague, like Mark Divo, a concert in an old military war veterans house, or it's huge actually. It's from the 17th century, I think. You know, after the 30-year war in Europe, which lasted 30 years, as you might imagine. There was a lot of people without legs and all this stuff. So the I wouldn't call it governments, but the kingdoms, they built a lot of those like invalid houses, houses for the invalid people. And yeah, but what to do with today? It's a huge complex. It's beautiful, huge ceilings, you know, and hallways, but the sound sounds amazing in there. So we did like a little concert and a light show, and that brought me to the thing that maybe when I do some music and or work as an architect, I basically follow like a similar pattern, which it's really useful when you, for example, design a building. You need to understand the landscape or the place itself. Even I think if you design some song or some sound. So what I would do is I take a picture of the place, and there I try to just use some simple, you know, editing, or I call it simple symmetry. Just put some symmetry on it and get some abstract image of that place, which you can't see the objects like you see the houses or the trees, but it kind of communicates the color and the geometric shapes and the kind of atmosphere of the place. And I like to use those things when I later design something like architecture or because an important process is to understand the place where you're designing. You can't just copy paste those buildings. And that's why when I came to Treasure Hill, to Taiwan, to Taipei, the first day I was looking for a place where to do my project, which I will talk later about, is a kind of venue place for sound. This place caught my eye. It's actually an old building, where the former residents were evicted, and it looks a bit like a temple. You have a beautiful view. It looks also a bit like a ruin, or maybe it might have been a prison. I mean, it wasn't, but it looks a bit like it is concrete and stuff. And it's not finished yet. It's my project. What I'm doing here, I call it Sanctuary. It's apart from a tongue twister, it's like the combination of sound and sanctuary. And sanctuary, not in a spiritual way, maybe, but maybe a place where you just can be yourself, and maybe your room can be a sanctuary, or for Sophie, it's the radical field, or a forest, I don't know. And the Taiwanese name is In Miao, which is kind of the temple of sound. And it's also like a word pun on a kind of temples in Taiwan. And I hope that to become a place where you can come just focus on the listening experience itself, because like as an architect, I found out there might not be so many, or there might not even be a typology of buildings where you that is dedicated only to sound and audio and voice related activities. You have the theater, okay, or there's also the drama, and you have concert hall, but you go see the performers. It's not that you come there and just close your eyes. So I wanted to create something like that. It's a kind of combination of a venue, a community center, and also a sanctuary for where you just can come and slow down, turn off your mind, and just listen. I just have a render, but maybe I can show that. And I thought I want to make it's a temporary structure. So I want to make I use the curtain for the walls, and I thought I could use this refugee foil. The one after you finish the marathon. I mean, not that I did, but you get this, or when there's some people like unlucky who have to cross the ocean and they get fished out, so they get this to keep warm, which I thought is a nice metaphor, because this place is kind of a refuge where you go when there's too many city sounds and you just want to calm down and listen on this, or see some focus on some performance. And also because of the sun, because it's so hot here in summer, and this foil is going to reflect the sunshine, so maybe keep it a bit more breathable inside. And that's basically how it hopefully will be after Corona calms down a bit. There's just some places where you can relax, lie down. There will be also a small exhibition. And as every temple or every building has a gate, so I thought also this one should have a metaphorical gate, which would be basically when you come from the city into this calm place. I want to make I want to show, maybe reflect on all those sounds which Sophie already said. Every time I come to Taiwan, it's really so loud compared to Europe, at least the city. There's everything like beeping and when the trucks turn left or right, they have maybe a voice talking. And it was really unusual for me. So the gate will basically be a thing where you hear a lot of sounds. And I want to overdose the visitor with all those sounds, and that you reset your senses and then enter this calm place. Yeah, where just some visuals for things that can go on inside. And another thing what I would like to show inside is Of course, like every temple has a shrine, right? So there will be a few shrines, and one of the shrines will be focused on the power of voice, because most dreams or wishes or like change, be it either personal or political or social, they start with a thought, and then that you speak out this thought. And in Taiwan, I found a lot of those koinji, those kind of megaphones, those speakers. They're everywhere, in almost every street and all the houses, and the police scooters, they have them, you know, and even shops use them to reproduce some sounds. But we as the people, or like the people who walk the street, they're always in a passive position towards, or role towards those speakers, because those speakers always tell you some orders, or this is actually from the Jingmei White Terror Museum, which used to be the prison in the martial law era, and so they always like tell you what to do, what not to do, where to go, or like some other like information, which still you have to listen to it. You can't just switch it off because it's everywhere. So I wanted to turn this around and install like this kind of speaker in the room, but that you are the one who's talking in it, and you're expressing your wishes and ideas to the world. Or so you can come there and anonymously, or you can put your name under, record your wish or your word of support to anything, and that it will be uploaded to the Instagram of the in Miao. And and the other shrine is or the other place is basically about the storytelling role of this place, because I thought many people, including my grandpa, many especially older people, they have a lot of interesting stories. They lived in the Second World War or later. They have experience, but many times you just heard the story already many times, or you don't really pay so much attention. So I was thinking the story itself might be interesting, but maybe the medium is not, up to date. So in this sanctuary, I wish to put together people who have a story, want to tell a story, with some Taiwanese or other sound artists, and put those people together to change the format of the storytelling and to make it more appealing to the younger generation or to anybody else. So let's hope we can have that chance. And I was talking before about this city noise gate. So this is just how I feel when I stand in the intersection of, I forgot the streets, but probably somewhere in Zhongshan in Taipei. And you have all this sound like just crawling through everywhere, through the streets. And I think people, you get used to it, like to everything. For me, when I came here, the first day when I got out of the quarantine hotel where I was like for 2 weeks, So I might have been biased, but I had this feeling also other times when I came from nature or somewhere in Taiwan. The cities are so extremely loud, which is really interesting, and I think it's also really funny. And that's why I made it part of my little experimentation sound thing. And I think it's not only the sound itself, but also the visual parts. You have like this blue-red light, and then you think it's a cops, but no, it's a betel nut store, and all those beautiful like neon signs, which in the detail they are. I don't know, like many Taiwanese people tell me they're ugly, but I think as a whole they are quite beautiful. It's like a beautiful chaos, And compared to some European cities, which look rather boring when you just like a grid and just the same facades. So I try to just walk around the city and record all those sounds, which I've never really been doing before. So it was kind of a experiment. And I just record them, and then I want to make like a collage, like Sophie made with painting. So I wish to try to make it with those sounds, and as I said before, overdose the listener to make him aware of those things. And my favorite was by far those, I don't think I have it here, but it woke me up every morning that there's a guy with a motorbike turned into a truck, and he's, I guess, selling mosquito nets or new window shields, and he will have like a loop on his audio megaphone, like waking you up. It's like, hey, buy my mosquito nets. Do you have a broken window? You know, and it's super loud because of the geometry of those streets. It like resonates up to your balcony and to your ear. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So I can try to do something, or.
Thanks, Peter. So he'll also bring us a performance. Yeah.
Yeah, I would call it. Yeah, I wouldn't call it performance. It's more like an experiment, but let's try. Yeah, I hope there's still somebody listening after this. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Peter. Amazing performance. And do you want to briefly introduce the contents or the elements in your performance? I see some old ladies saying. Sounds really familiar to me.
Yeah, so I hope it doesn't start playing everything now. But as you said, or as I said before, I tried to record all those sounds in the city. So it started with just Daan Park. Basically, before all this noise, there was nature, right? So it's hard to find nature in Taipei. There's Treasure Hill and there's the parks. And then I recorded some construction sites, drilling. So I tried to make it into a kind of piano, so I can use different tones to play those, reproduce those drills. And then there's all those speakers that tell you all those things. And so, for example, I had sorry. There's a shop here close to here that will like loop. You have to wear a face mask. Which is a nice reminder, but the staff who works there, they must be waking up at night and like hear this melody. So yeah, and then that goes on. An even funnier one, which I found funny, is some shops, they have this outside. They're selling bread basically, and like, hey, we have bread, we have toast. Like, have a look in our store. So you walk the streets and you hear all those funny sounds. Then of course the traffic, the bus. Then I use those. Even if you enter a shop in Taiwan, it will play like a iconic melody, which you probably heard. There's a few convenience stores, for example. For example, this one is from 7-Eleven, as you might know, and the other one was from another one, and then I just tried to record just above my house here in Treasure Hill. There's the high voltage the cables. And sometimes when you come close to them, they have this like bzz, those buzz sound. So I wanted to climb up there and like record the sound as close as I can, but probably was not a good idea. So I just like imitated it with some synthesizers, and to have like this grid sound. And then a really funny thing is, at least to me, it was the last sound. I'm not sure if you recognize it, but well, that's not it. But it's a melody that plays on some buses. When you get off the bus, it will play this melody, which is somebody later told me from some Disney movie, which I didn't know, but I found it really funny. I was like, I think if you live in Taipei or for a longer time, all those melodies they just become part of you, and then you kind of, maybe you can't name them, but for sure you recognize them. So yeah, that was just like my improvised story, how to like what I discovered, which melodies I discovered, because yeah, that's a really funny thing to me, and it's for sure like a different part of a culture aspect. But on the other hand, I think subconsciously it also gets on one's nerves, or like you feel overwhelmed by all those sounds in the city, because I think noise pollution is an important thing that you might not realize it, but it's affecting your let's say how calm you feel or how good you feel. And so I like to call all those things, not only the sound things, but also the visual aspects and all those advertisements, urban fungus. It's like a mushroom that grows in the city, right? and like just the mushrooms they grow in the forest in Taipei, or like it's a concrete jungle to me, surrounded by a real jungle. So it's all those little elements that are not really regulated, like everybody do them and add their like design touch to them, and it creates like this huge like this moth or this like fungus of sound and visual elements that crawl through the city, just maybe like here.
Thank you. It's like a very abundant collection of Taipei in your
if you say so.
pocket of sound. Yeah. Okay. So, do we have any questions from the audience? Okay. Oh, okay. So we have question for both Sophie and Peter from our audience. And the first question is for Sophie. So she's asking, I've always wondered as an artist, it's a great way to explore through those supplements. If not, how do you get inspired with all this amazing artwork?
Supplements are, what is supplement?
Explore through. I think he means the processes you're using, or all the
Thank you for the question. I get inspired. I think I might have told you, actually, for example, traveling is very inspiring because it's something very new what happens to you, to my body. So I'm actually inspired by very daily life things which happened. So for me, these also small things are something very important, like these daily life experience are actually really inspiring me. And in a new surrounding, of course, they are very different. Exactly in these small things you can experience the diversity, I think, of life, and that's what inspires me.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sophie. And here comes to the question to Peter. The first question is, what do you think about the difference of sound in Taipei between before and after the third level alert?
That's an interesting question because I was here before and after this alert.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I heard a difference because, for sure the streets were much quieter visually. You mostly saw only like Uber driver, like the delivery drivers and the buses, but still like. Because I live in Cheongnan, like south of the city, it's a lot of like this expressway and on the Fuhai Bridge, so I think to be honest, I didn't hear like a real difference of the sound, which maybe shows that there was less people, but not less machines, which is maybe indicator of that all those devices, all this noise is much louder than the people, because the people disappeared, but. I didn't hear the difference,
Okay.
Which, if I can add up to this, in the third level, it was not allowed to like really meet people and everything. But I was like cycling through Taipei at night and collecting some sounds, and I see like tens of 50 people or 100 people waiting for the garbage truck, which also plays a melody. So I was, when it comes like to the garbage truck culture, then life is still normal.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is, this audience is curious about what is the recorder you are using?
Oh, that's a really crappy one. You better don't get that one. It's I have it over there. It's just the Zoom H1, I guess. It's in my backpack. Yeah, it's just a cheap recorder. Like you can get it for $100, and if you like get rid of the wind sound, and I don't think it's if you collect all this noise, and you can even do it with a decent phone, And I'm not sure what you heard. Maybe maybe it's like a question for that, but
You bought it from Taiwan, or you bring it from China?
I bought it from, I don't know, somewhere in Europe, but you can buy it here.
Okay.
But maybe the question is aimed at the sound was not good quality. To my defense, I have to say it got wet in one of the rains in Taipei. So yeah, but I think that for me that's not the important part, the quality of the recorder, but how you layer, like which reverbs and delays and sound effects, what you do with, how do you modulate with the sound.
Yeah.
That's like more interesting, more playful to me.
Okay, thank you, Peter. And how much time do we have? Do we got? So can I raise a question to Peter? Okay, great. So I have a question for Peter. Last question. You often refer your creation method as public intervention, but I am also curious about the definition of intervention. So can you please elaborate how you do with the intervention, like how to balance the renovation, the preserving or intervention, or even how to leave some space for imagination?
Yeah, the term public intervention, I just read it somewhere like on the internet, but it's like a common term, which I really like I like the term because it could mean anything, you just make a small installation in a public space, or even you as a visitor to somewhere, you just like move a bench and then you intervene in the space and how other people perceive it. But since like this place is all shared, and luckily in most cities it is, I think everybody, each member of society should have like a kind of, how do you call it? You should be responsible for this place, and that counts like for for artists or people who have a business, or especially developers who, I'm not sure if that's a thing here in Taiwan, but in Prague we have like this problem. There's like old architectures which did not get recognized that well yet, like brutalist architecture from the 60s. And then like people who want to like build some office building there, they sell it to the public. Oh, this is like old communist architecture, which no, there's like a lot of value, and it was not even communist. And so then people are like, yeah, let's tear it down and build something new. So that's like a fight that's going on a lot in Prague, and probably not only there, and it will come to Taiwan, which, yeah, it just reminds me of like there's this the building where the 228 incident happened, and it used to be like a bank, and it's all covered with some advertisements, and now it was supposed to be torn down, but luckily somebody intervened, so everybody has responsibility in this public space. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
I think, thank you. So now it comes to the conclusion of this talk, and Sophie and Peter may have been experienced the most unusual situation among all the residential artists here. When they first arrived Taipei in the end of April, they have been through 21 days quarantine first, and then less than a month's free day in town. Very shockingly, the pandemic outbroke, and not only this time's Friday night talk, but also their creation is shown or maybe have to present it online. However, via the online exhibition and today's online talk, we can still get a clearer picture about their artworks, as well as their creation idea and creation context. And I would like to thank you again for your sharings and wonderful works. And thanks to all the friends who stay tuned with us tonight. And if you have further interest in Sophie or Peter's projects, just don't hesitate to contact with the Artist Village to provide your feedback or to raise your questions, and which will make the residency programs become an ongoing exchange between different culture and subjects. And that is exactly what we need during this pandemic era. Thank you all again, and have a great Friday night.
Bye-bye.
To the
Thank
team.
you.
and dear followers. Should we have some radical salad now?